For more, we can bring in our international affairs editor, Philip Turle. Philip, the House will vote on a resolution today calling on, the Vice President to invoke the 25th Amendment. How is that vote likely to go?
Well, as we were just hearing in that report, Delano, it looks pretty much as though this is just really a symbolic vote because it all hinges on Mike Pence, the vice president. Will he or won't he agree to vote on that resolution? If he does agree, then he will have to write a letter saying why President Trump should no longer be in office and calling for him to be taken down as president. That has to be backed by a majority of Trump's cabinet. And then, of course, Donald Trump has the right to reply to that letter as well. And if Donald Trump does reply, then the matter goes before the Congress, and it has to have a two-thirds majority to be able to become effective. Well, that looks like a very long, drawn-out scenario. So this really is a symbolic move to try to show that the House of Representatives does want Donald Trump out of office as quickly as possible. I think what is more interesting here, Tulano, is what is going to happen tomorrow, because the Democrats say they will hold a vote on impeachment. Now, what does that mean? There are 435 members of the House of Representatives. They're going to vote on that, and they will get a majority in favor of impeachment, which means that Donald Trump will be the only president in the history of the United States to be impeached twice. It doesn't mean that he can be removed from office, but it does mean that a discussion will then be taken in the Congress as to whether or not to remove Donald Trump from office. Now, you know that, of course, the Democrats have won the direction of the Congress in the United States after winning two runoffs last week in Georgia. So what they are looking forward to is to, after the election of Joe Biden next week, to trying to get Donald Trump removed from any type of future political role in the United States. And it looks like because they will be controlling both the House of Representatives and the Senate, that they have a stronger chance of being able to obtain this once Joe Biden becomes president.
Philip, speaking of the president, Donald Trump has been laying low since last week's insurrection on Capitol Hill. He has since been kicked off Twitter, suspended from Facebook. But later on today, he will be traveling to Texas, to the border with Mexico, to inspect that border wall of his and tout his tough line on immigration. Is there a fear that the president could try and rile up his base like he did last week?
Well, I think there is definitely worry that this could be one of the final appearances of Donald Trump in public as president of the United States, and therefore one of his final opportunities to try to rally his supporters and basically to say once again, with no proof of it, of course, that this election was stolen off him. So I think there is definite concern amongst the police and the security forces in the United States that this will be another attempt by Donald Trump to try to foment some kind of trouble ahead of the inauguration next week, when he is supposed to give way to Joe Biden. That's on the 20th of January. Now, he's going to be in Alamo in Texas, right outside the wall, what he called the big, beautiful wall in his 2016 election campaign. But when push comes to shove, there's not been the whole wall that he promised. And there is still half of the border, which is still not built. So there are a lot of worries about what Donald Trump is going to say. He's not going to try to boast about what he achieved during his terms in office. He's only going to talk about the fight against illegal immigration. And this is something that, of course, all his support base want to hear. And at the same time, we're hearing news that there are planned protests, armed protests in Washington, which are expected on Sunday, where there's been lockdown imposed, and in state capitals right away, right across the United States. And I think the security forces there are very worried about what is going to happen.
We'll see what happens. Indeed. Thank you very much for that, Philip. Philip Turle there.